Hello everyone and welcome to episode 53, I think, of the Giddy podcast. As always, I am Helen and I am coming to you from Dundee in Scotland, where I live with my husband Tom and my two boys, Arthur, who is 6, and Jasper, who is 3. Welcome. Welcome back to everyone that has watched before and welcome to anyone that is new. Thank you so much for checking out the podcast and coming back. Things are going to be a little bit different for a few months, as is the case everywhere, I believe, and with everyone. As I am sure you are all more than aware, we are currently undergoing a worldwide pandemic of coronavirus. Life has changed for a lot of people in a lot of countries. In the UK, we are currently on lockdown. We've only been on lockdown for 3 days, I think, officially. We are only allowed to leave our homes if we need to get groceries, if we need to pick up medication, if we are going to a workplace that we can't work from home from, and also once a day for some exercise. I am fortunate enough that my husband is able to work from home and I work from home as well. My online shop will remain open for the moment because trips to the delivery office to drop off parcels fall under me being allowed to leave my home for work, because it is a part of my work that I can't do from home, basically. However, for those of you that are concerned about the amount of contact that going to the post office involves, I currently purchase my postage online. I use the click and drop service. So I purchase my postage online, print out my labels at home, and I take a bag full of parcels to the delivery depot and leave them at the delivery depot, basically, and then they are all processed. So I very rarely come into any physical contact with people, and I see the one guy at the delivery depot, and they are currently taking the parcels gloved. So as minimal contact as possible. I am also going to be reducing my shipping, so I won't be shipping as regularly. I am aiming to ship kind of once a week. Or if it is a small parcel that I can just pop in my post box, and I can go out for a little walk to my post box and pop a couple of things in the post box if I need to. But I will be aiming to just take a bag of parcels once a week to the delivery depot. Yeah. And now everyone's panicking if people are coughing. It's not a persistent cough. Life has changed a lot, hasn't it? What else was I going to say? Kids are off school, obviously. As I mentioned, I've got 2 boys, a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old. So the 6-year-old is currently off school and the 3-year-old is off nursery as well. They are unlikely to go back until school starts again after the summer holidays. In Scotland, the kids would be breaking up for summer holidays at the end of June, and then they go back mid-August. And Scotland have said that it is unlikely that the children will return to school until after the summer holidays. So that's kind of the thing. They're going to be home until then. I don't know. Yeah, it's going to be hard, isn't it? It's going to be challenging for us all. Arthur is actually doing really well. He is really enjoying his kind of homeschooling stuff, the minimal amount of homeschooling that we're managing. We're lucky that his teachers are putting up some activities and stuff online for him to do, which he's really, really enjoying. He's only 6, so he is in primary 2, which is kind of the equivalent of year 1 at school. So we're fortunate that kind of he just needs a bit of literacy, a bit of numeracy, and then just some fun with the family. So he's kind of, doing really well. Jasper, on the other hand, is really struggling with not understanding that he can't play with Arthur all the time because Arthur needs to do some schoolwork. But it can't be helped, can it? Anyway, before I keep rambling too much about what's going on, you're all already overwhelmed, I imagine, with listening to the news and seeing it absolutely everywhere. So let's try and keep this a bit more positive. Going forward until the kids go back to school, basically, The podcast will be slightly different. So as you can see, I don't have my studio lights set up today, so the lighting is going to be a little bit wonky. My office where I usually record, which is where I usually record here, but my whole office, we have had to rearrange it slightly so that my husband is able to work from home more comfortably. So there is actually a desk right here taking up half of the sofa, which isn't normally there, which means that setting up my studio lights isn't possible at the moment. I also don't really have the time. If I'm going to be able to record a podcast, it's going to be literally when I've got chance to record it, and the time involved in setting up my studio lights and taking down my studio lights is just not going to happen at the moment. So hopefully you can appreciate that. So yeah, over the next couple of months, I would imagine that lighting will be a little bit dodgy, and apologies for that. But I still want to try and get some content out for you. So my plan for the moment is to record slightly shorter podcasts where I'm going to focus more on kind of the few things that I'm really working on at the moment. And then I'll also include a little bit of, hopefully I will be also, I'm rambling. Hopefully I will also be able to do kind of like a little weekly vlog of what we're up to and share a few other things that way. And I think I will share my shop news kind of stuff within the weekly vlog, because I can share what I'm dyeing. I can share kind of colourways that are really popular at the moment and things like that. I've currently got my grid wall set up in the office because I was prepping for Yorkshire Yarn Fest. And it looks really nice actually, so it might stay there for the moment. It's quite nice to be able to see what stock I've got and be able to kind of, share a little bit of that. So that's kind of my plan, if that makes any sense to you. Podcast as usual every 2 weeks, slightly lower quality, slightly shorter episodes, and then hopefully a little bit of vlog, more of a kind of daily vlog kind of footage, but I'll do them weekly with kind of little bits that we've been up to, and things like that, just hopefully as a little bit to brighten everyone's day once a week. Does that make sense? Hopefully. Anyway, what am I going to share with you today? Let's start with a couple of announcements. I just wanted to talk about a couple of knit-alongs that I've got running. So we currently have the 20th Century Cal, which is kind of a craft along involving, so inspired by anything inspired by 20th century history. So if you can make a link to 20th century history with your project, then that's fine, it counts. It is quite quiet over in the Ravelry group for that one at the moment. So if you think you can convince me that your project is 20th century related, then please come along and enter it. Check out the details. There will be prizes. And then I am also running the Giddy Yarns Cal, which is going to be an ongoing knit along or craft along for any project that you are working on or have finished that involves my yarn, basically. And I will be drawing quarterly prizes. So the first prize for that one will be drawn at the end of March. Again, all the rules and details are in the Ravelry group, which hopefully I will have linked down below. Finished objects. I have a finished object. I have a pair of socks finished. These, I think I showed these on the last episode. I think I had just started them, but I have finished them. The yarn I used is by Fruitful Fusion. Let's see if I can get as good a light as possible. The yarn I used is by Fruitful Fusion, and it is such a fun colourway. I love the way that it kind of micro stripes. It's really, really, really fun. I really enjoyed knitting these socks. It was a sock set that came with this heel and toe yarn, and yeah, really, really fun. I improvised my own pattern for this one. So what I did is either side of the front of the foot, I've added this 2x2 twisted rib section. And then I've also added that twisted rib section. Hello, I'm
interrupting your recording.
My recording is being interrupted by a huge box of yarn. Wow, that's me stocked up then. Thank you. I did say the podcast would be a bit different over the next few months, didn't I? I now have a huge box of yarn sitting next to me and I can't get out of the office. what was I saying? Yes, down the back of the leg I did the same. Let me twist one round on the sock blocker a little bit so you can kind of see. There you go. So down the back of the leg I did the same 2x2 rib section, and then that stopped at the heel and obviously didn't continue under the foot because that would have been really uncomfortable. But yeah, these were so much fun to work on. I knit them concurrently, which is what I am planning to do with all of my socks this year. So I did the rib of one, then the rib of the other, and then I worked on the leg, and every time I picked them up to knit, I would pick up whichever one had had the least progress on it, basically. And then I did one heel and then the other heel and the same down the foot. And that is definitely working for me, because I feel like I'm not struggling with the whole second sock syndrome that was really starting to get to me a little bit towards the end of last year. So yeah, concurrent socks is definitely the way to go for me. The only thing I'm trying to work out now is how I can make that work. Well, I know how I can make it work, but I'm lazy with like a gobstopper style striping, because to keep the stripes matching, you're going to have to kind of rewind off all of it. Otherwise, you're going to end up with them going in opposite directions. Or I could just accept the fact that they're going to go in opposite directions. We'll see. Anyway, that was that project. The other project that I am working on a lot at the moment, because I am so close to finishing it, is my Pure Joy. So this I have shown on the podcast before. This is the Pure Joy shawl by Joji Locatelli. And I am knitting it out of King Fibres in the Platinum colourway and the Cactus colourway, which is this one here. And I'm using their BFL High Twist base, which is 100% BFL, and it is gorgeous. This is a base that I have just started to stock in the shop, and I absolutely adore the way that it takes colour. It is so lovely to dye. I would highly recommend the base. So yeah, I am so close to finishing. The shawl is shaped with short row wedges. That's really hard to say. And I am that far away from finishing the final wedge. I think I am about 5 rows away from binding off this shawl, but the rows are getting really long. So it is taking me a little bit of a while, but hopefully I will get some of this worked on tonight, and that will be another finished object to share with you next time I record. And then the other thing I thought I would share quickly now is a couple of blankets that have been seeing some love. One I need to put quite a lot more work into, and the other one I'm so close to finishing also. So this one needs a bit more work. I have been adding more squares to my Cozy Memories blanket. As you can see, if I hold it up, I have added all of these squares. And I have added some down the bottom here as well, if you can see the little stitch markers there. I am still desperately working on keeping it symmetrical, and I think I have 80 squares. Now, if I'm right, as I've mentioned before, I am joining in the SCR1 TNO podcast square a day knit along for adding a square a day to your Cozy Memories blanket. And to keep up with that, I need to have 91 squares by the 1st of April, and I currently have 80 squares. So I've got 11 squares to catch up. So yeah, I think I'm going to pick this up a little bit this week. This might be quite a good one to just sit and knit on while Arthur is doing his online schoolwork, if Jazzy behaves himself. Jazzy being Jasper, who is also very well known in this household as Jazzy. So yeah, if I say Jazzy, it's Jasper. It's just his nickname. Yeah, so this definitely needs some more work, but I'm really enjoying it. It's such a good mindless project when you're a bit stressed in the evenings and you can't quite relax. This is such a good project. Okay, and then the other project that has been seeing a lot of work and is very nearly finished. Oh, I can't get that in there. Oh, actually, that's something else I'm going to share with you. I don't know if maybe I'll share that on a vloggy bit instead. Is this one here, my Advent blanket. Now, I'm pretty sure that I shared this with you last time, and I had assembled it all. So this is it here. And as I've mentioned before, the yarn I used for this is from the Henny Penny Makes advent calendar, and they were all Quality Street inspired. If you want to see me opening the advent calendar, I did that throughout Advent, and I shared that throughout my Vlogmas vlogs, so you can always go and check them out there. I will hopefully try and put some clever little card up on the screen that links you to it, if I remember. But I am currently working on the edging for this, so I decided on this edging, which I got via the Attic 24 website. And it's got kind of a scalloped edging with these, I don't know, my terminology is not rubbish, my crochet terminology is rubbish, but with these kind of chainy bits underneath the scallops. So I'm getting there. I am on, as you can tell, the scallop. So I started here, so I've completed this first side, and I am just working down this second side with the scallop. And for anyone else who doesn't know this tip, I have been making crochet blankets for ages and ages, generally simple ones. I'm not by any means a kind of good crocheter, but I always just pull my yarn through and hope for the best and hope that it doesn't get caught and start unraveling. And then I was watching Sharon's podcast, the SCR1 TNO podcast, the other week, and she was saying that she puts a stitch marker, so one of these kind of progress keeper ones, through her loop so that it doesn't come unpulled. And I'm like, that is genius. Why have I never thought of doing that? And then you can just pull it really easily to get your loop back up again, but it stops it from coming undone. Why have I never done that? Why? So yeah, that's a really useful little new tip that I've learned. Just pop a locking progress keeper or a kind of a locking stitch marker or a progress keeper of some kind on your little loop, and it doesn't come undone by accident. Yeah, so I'm hoping in the next couple of weeks to get this done. I've spent quite a lot of time working on it today, and I've kind of got a bit fed up. So I think it might have to go away for a couple of days until I have got the energy to keep doing those scallops, which are quite time consuming. So that's all the knitting stuff that I was going to share with you, but I have had rather a large amount of yarny goodness over the last few weeks. And I wanted to share some of it with you. Now, I'm going to share that, I will share on a vlog at some point. So I treated myself, first of all, to this lovely skein of yarn from Hannah at the Corner of Craft. She dyes her yarn under the Chromatic Yarns branding, and I absolutely loved this. I just saw hers. This was part of the Operation Social Justice operation. There we go. And her colourway is Operation Social Justice Insert Class Here, which is a Dungeons and Dragons reference. And I couldn't resist her colour. I just really, really enjoyed it. And 20% of this yarn went to charity. I can't actually remember off the top of my head which charity Hannah donated her 20% to. But yeah, that's going to make me a pair of socks, definitely. I got it on the Blueface, on her BFL nylon base. So yeah, perfect for a pair of socks. And then I had a lovely gift from a friend when I was feeling a little bit unwell towards the beginning of the month. She very kindly popped me a Cheer You Up parcel in the post, which contained these lovely things. So it has got the most recent episode of Pom Pom Magazine. I love Pom Pom Magazine. It is such a considered, well thought out publication. I do find that a lot of the patterns aren't quite my aesthetic, but that's fine. But there are some gorgeous, gorgeous patterns in here. Yeah, there really are some gorgeous patterns in there, and it's always just such a lovely publication to read through and look at, and they have other things in it as well. But yeah, that is the most recent episode of Pom Pom Magazine, so I am going to have some time to sit down and read that one, hopefully at some point in the next few weeks. She also picked me up a fun skein of Easy Knits, and this is in the Rainbow Gris colourway. So it's got kind of the grey flash through that will kind of do a micro stripy kind of flashing thing when you knit it. So that is also going to make a fun pair of socks for me. And she also sent me a lovely pin, which says procrastinator. Have I said that right? Procrastinator. There you go. Hopefully you can read that better than I can. I have actually ordered a pin pennant from Rachel at So Ray Me, and I believe I got a notification today saying it had dispatched. So hopefully I'll get that in the next few days, and I'm planning to put the pin pennant up just here so that I can finally put all my pins on it. So that was my lovely gift, and then I've still got a couple more things to share, I'm afraid. I signed up this year to the lovely mystery gem from Gemma at The Little Grey Girl. If you've watched the podcast for a while, you'll know that I signed up to her mystery gems last year as well, and I just can't resist them. I love the idea, I love the concept. So the basic concept of the mystery gem is she teams up with a dyer, and both her and the dyer will create a product around a mood board. So this is the mood board for this quarter, and this is their woolly edition. So this kind of gives the dyer an idea of colours to use, and the fabric for the bag that she makes is also inspired with it. So the bag for the woolly edition was this gorgeous fabric here. I absolutely love this fabric. It is so fun. And look, it's got a little knitting, I think it's meant to be a sheep, but it's knitting. So cute. And this is my favourite shape of Gem's bag and my favourite size of her bag. It is perfect for socks. I absolutely love this shape and size of bag. So that's that one. And then the yarn is this gorgeous colourway. And the dyer for this month was Eden Cottage Yarns. And the yarn that she included is it's her Titus 4-ply, which is 75% superwash merino and 25% silk. So it is absolutely stunning. And then this month also included a pattern. And I'm just double checking before I show you the pattern. I'm just double checking that the code isn't on this side. No, it's not. So they'd also teamed up with Therese at Brixton Pearl, and she created the Landscape pattern, which is this gorgeous triangular lace shawl. And this was knit in the colourway and the yarn base. So I may very well actually do that pattern. I'm not sure if it was knit in the colour, it was knit in the same yarn base. Yeah, I might do that pattern. Otherwise I have an idea of something that I could possibly knit with this. Yeah. And if you're curious about the rest of the year, these are all the mood boards for the year. So this one was this one, which was the woolly edition, and then there are 3 others in the year as well. But all the details can be found over on Gemma's website, which is thelittlegraygirl.co.uk. So yeah, so that had arrived. And then finally, I took part, so as many of you will be aware, Yorkshire Yarn Fest, which I was supposed to be vending at in March, was postponed or cancelled because of coronavirus. And in fact, while we're talking about shows and I've not mentioned shows, the Cornish Fibre Festival, which I was also supposed to be vending at in May, has also been postponed, so it won't be on until next year. I have secured my spot for next year, so hopefully it will still go ahead in a year's time. I am still waiting to hear about the Wool Monty in June, but in all honesty, I am assuming that all of my shows up until probably August are cancelled, because the likelihood of it going ahead in June is minimal. And I completely understand. I think the organisers are doing an excellent job of kind of trying to keep things going as best as possible. And I know that there are a lot of issues around insurance, and people that are choosing to cancel events are not getting insurance, and a lot of money has been invested in it. So yeah, I would imagine they're waiting for the arena to cancel on them, or the government to say that they definitely can't go ahead before cancelling. So we will see what happens. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. Hopefully by September, Perth will be on, and that will be fine. Anyway, what was I saying? I took part. So Yorkshire Yarn Fest moved online. Seeing as we couldn't do an in-person event, Sophie organised an amazing virtual event, which I know a number of you will have watched. It really was absolutely amazing, and the support from all of the customers was, yeah, absolutely amazing. That's all I can say. It was such a good event, and it definitely made up for the lack of an in-person event. It really, really did. But I treated myself to a few things, and the first of those few things arrived. I treated myself to 2 lovely skeins of yarn from Debbie at Down Sheepy Lane, and I am conscious that it is starting to get a little bit grey and dark, so the lighting is getting worse. So there's Debbie's lovely new branding, Down Sheepy Lane, and this is one of her Witcher colourways. This is Geralt of Rivia, and yeah, I just really liked it. It was really fun. So I don't know whether Tom might get a pair of socks knit out of this, or whether I'll just keep it for me. And then the other colourway that I bought was this one here, which is the Bramble colourway, and yeah, it's just beautiful, isn't it? It's just absolutely stunning. No idea what it's going to be, but it's going to be something really, really, really pretty. And both of these I purchased on her merino nylon base. Tom was saying about how well they actually go together, and whether they could go in a project together, which is definitely a possibility. So that is all the new purchases that I have, and all the new things that have come to me. I will have a few to share in the next episode as a few new bits and pieces arrive, although if they arrive and I'm recording bits for a weekly vlog, then maybe I'll share them there instead. Shop news stuff I will share in a little weekly vlog for you, and I'm trying to think whether there was anything else that I normally talk about but I haven't talked about. I haven't really gone through the whole new cast-ons and all of that kind of stuff. I'll share those as and when I'm working on them in a bit more detail, I think, just to try and keep these videos a little bit shorter and a little bit easier to edit. So yeah, that's it from me for now. Thank you so much for watching. I am sorry again that the quality is not going to be as good and the lighting is not going to be as good, but it is really going to be a case of me trying to fit these recording in around the kids and everyone being at home. And as you see, we might have more interruptions, but I do now have a big box of undyed yarn, which I can get dyeing up for the shop and prepping for shows that will hopefully happen later in the year. Anyway, I will leave you to it for now. I hope everyone is staying safe and looking after yourselves. Thank you very much for watching, and hopefully see you again very, very soon. Bye.